Hello and welcome to Great Craps. This is my trip report for January 2023 for my trip to Vegas. It's a little bit late, about a week behind, but better late than never. And so here we go. I was in Vegas for work. I went for a trade show, we'll say, and was there about a week, Sunday to Sunday. And so after hours, of course, got to play some craps and make it around to some various casinos that I kind of had on a list in my head that I wanted to go see, certain tables and features of and things like that. And so I get to hit all the locations that I was shooting for, and let's get right into it. So Sunday night after I got there on travel day, I went and had dinner at Ellis Island, a nice little $10 steak dinner, prime rib, because I had some points on my player's card for Ellis Island. And after that, I went and watched the table before getting in and watched the big tall kid roll a 30-plus roller. He was already in his roll midway through when I walked up, so I didn't get in on it. And he finally sevened out and colored up and walked away with around $700. He had, I think, about $100 in his rack when I first walked up. So pretty neat to see that. But then I got in and I just wanted to get my feet wet because travel day, I was pretty tired, had been out traveling all day. And after getting checked into my hotel and everything. So I just bought in for $50 on the $5 table there at Ellis Island and out for 67 after $5 to the dealer, just up 17 overall. I kind of had a little bit of a hard stop because I had a thing to go do the next morning with some friends that I was there with. And so I didn't want to be out too late. And so set that limit and stuck to my time and headed back to the hotel. So Monday night, I went to the link and played the $10 roll to win table and promptly screwed up the first bet I made. I'm so used to playing on my table at home that even though it's electronic table, I went ahead and placed my 6 and 8 on the come out roll. And of course, with a don't pass, and of course, a 7 rolled on the come out. And so there went $30. That was a $10 table. And so kind of got flustered in my head, played a couple more bets down. I really wanted to get to the next spot. So I went ahead and cashed out and lost $50 in the process. So I was in for 60 and out for 50. And now I was down $33 overall for the trip from the previous night's little bit of winnings. After that, I really wanted to get over to Treasure Island, the TI, and check out their stadium $3 minimum table. It's way in the back. It took me a little while to walk over there, but I finally made it over there. And I think I swung through Harris and watched their table on the way. It was pretty interesting. And anyway, got over there and got my player's card at TI and went back to the back and found the $3 minimum table. It was kind of dead. It was a Monday night, so it wasn't as lively as I had hoped it would be. There were a few people playing. The way that Stadium Craps table is set up there, all the stadium seats are to the side. I would say there's about 20, so a little bit more than the one at Planet Hollywood. And I think roulette and the real craps table was on the other side of it. So it's a short table. It's an 8-footer. You just throw from the end, just like the one at Planet Hollywood. But it just wasn't very lively. And so same deal. I in for $50. I out for 67 after a $5 tip to the dealer. Dealer was doing a pretty good job. Only one dealer, of course, because it's Stadium Craps, so just a guy on stick. I started at 11 and stopped maybe, I played for maybe 1 or 2 hours. I didn't really keep track of time that night. I could have colored up about 30 minutes or so before I colored up and left for a little bit more, but I was trying to break $100 and break even for the night. And so the lesson there is don't chase. All 3 or 4 of my own rolls were short, 5 rolls or less, and that was kind of par for the course for this table. It was brutal. It was very cold. I think I saw one person go over 15, and that was about it. So again, I was playing the 6, 7, and 8, and managed to transition to $6 don't pass with 18 across, doing a whack-a-mole, covered the don't pass with a $1 hard way, and I played that same strat on myself the whole time. Minimal damage, into the night down 16. So up a little bit on that table, but overall still down 16. So that ended my night, went back to my hotel, and Tuesday night I made it over to Circus Circus and checked out the $5 roll to win electronic table with an ATS. And the only catch is you have to have a don't pass or pass in order to play the ATS. So kind of like being the shooter almost, you have to have a DP or a pass up in order to play the ATS and place it in the first place. So I did not play the ATS. I just I got a little short video of that, and you'll see that posted here shortly. But I actually opened the table around 8:30. It was not open when I got there. There was a dealer there getting ready to open it. The pit boss came over and said, "We'll have this open for you in just a few minutes." And sure enough, they did. And so I threw about 3 or 4 rounds myself for 30 minutes. Had the table all to myself before another person finally came up to the table. 3 were decent, 1 was short. And then the next person that came up, when she did roll, she had a 38 roller. And it would have been great. It would have been great to try and play the ATS, but I was playing the don't. Just playing the don't pass, same deal, 6, 7, 8. Getting my don't pass up there and getting my using the winnings from that to establish a 6 and then an 8, and working my way up from there. And I just couldn't break out. She kept knocking me off the don't with those come out 7s, and she had some come out 11s in there as well. Interesting thing though, and hopefully this doesn't get out and they fix it, but the 12 was paying on the don't pass. So normally the 12 is barred, for those of you who know, and you don't win with 12 on the don't pass, but the 12 was paying 1-to-1, just like the 2 and the 3 on the don't pass. So interesting. If you're going to play the don't, great place to play it, because you have the same chances of winning as you do the pass line there on that table at Circus Circus. Played for just about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit under. I was in for 109, in for $100 and out for 126. I peaked around 140-ish. Again, I was trying to get to a certain goal line and never made it. So after that, I went over and found a $1 bubble and played that just for $10, just for fun. And in for 10 and out for 20. And so finally got back up at Circus Circus. So total win at Circus Circus is about $36, and that put me up $28 overall for the trip so far. Pretty neat playing on the $1 bubble. You can just go $1 across, place the penny, so you don't have to really worry about your bets being proper. And pretty neat to go $6 across and then play that from there. So it was pretty fun to play on that bubble, and it wasn't brutal. Most bubbles are pretty mean to me. This one was not so bad. I know it's just the luck of the draw, but the dice were nice on that particular bubble. And nice quick little win just on $10 to hold my money there. So after that, I walked over to Resorts World, and a lot of YouTubers they don't like Resorts World, but I found it to be pretty interesting inside. It was nice. It was big. It was open. Of course, everything was new, and so I played. They had 2 $25 tables, one $50 table, and a $15 table open at the time. They had a couple more tables there, but they were not open. It was only a Tuesday night, so as to be expected, it's still pretty lively to have 3 or 4 tables open on the Tuesday night. And so I played on the $15 table, just real low. I don't like playing anything above $10. I'm a low roller. So I played on the $15 table, just went in for 20. I placed the 18 and played the $18 on the 6 and hit it once, press for 6 and out for 17. And then went over to the $3 bubble and another in for 10 and out for 20 on the $3 bubble. Same deal, just playing inside this time since it was $3. And then on my way out, happened upon a $1, we'll call it a mass bubble. It's instead of just being a single one-person bubble, it's the one with 6 people or 6 or 8 people sitting around it playing. And the guy sitting there playing seemed to be having a pretty good time. It was only $1. And so I hopped on it and in for 20 and out for 25, up 32 overall now for the trip. So pretty fun. I think I played that about 30 minutes, and one of the guys had a long roll before me, and then I rolled and did fairly okay, and again doubled my $10 on that. I only like to play $10 on Bubble because they can eat you alive if you're not careful. So that's kind of my rule, my personal rule for Bubble at the moment. And so that got me up a little bit, and off we went to the hotel. Wednesday night, I went downtown. I kind of had a little side mission to go downtown and check out some hotels downtown. And I wanted to go check out the Grand and the Plaza. Later this year in the summer, my wife and I are taking a trip, and those are our main 2 hotel choices for our trip then. And so having never seen either one of those, I wanted to go kind of check them out for myself. And so I went and hit the Grand first. And while I was there, they had a $10 table open. Most of the tables on Fremont in that area are $15 tables. But on a Wednesday night, the Grand had a $10 table open. And so I jumped in on that one. There was only one guy rolling, and I was in for 30 and out for 6. He hit me pretty quickly with hitting a couple points and maybe some come out 7s. And all I was doing again is the don't pass with 6 and 8. I won one of the DPs, and then didn't notice the yo on the next come out and went ahead and placed the 6 and 8 without noticing that I had lost. I wasn't really there to buy in big. I was there more to look at the hotel, but I wanted to jump on the table real quick and play it. And so, of course, the shooter PSO'd right after that. I lost $24, but I should have kept playing. He was the only guy on this table, an older gentleman, and from the chit chat with the dealers, he had been there the day before and rolled for something like 11 or 12 hours, just playing either by himself or just playing on the table all day for 11 or 12 hours. And this particular moment, he was not in a run of good luck, which is great for the don't player. I hate to say that. It sounds bad, but he had a stack of 5s going and was just steadily eating them up. And I was not in the mindset for that. I was in the mindset of, oh, let me go look at this place and look around. And after I left it, I was like, oh, it clicked in my head. And I said, oh, I should have went back and just played the DP all day. And I would have colored up nicely on that if I had. He went out quite a few times. And when I passed by the table later, he had left and taken a break. So good to see at least he kind of knew where his limits were and it was time to take a break. But I missed an opportunity there just because I was focused on something else and didn't notice it. But it is what it is. I went over to got my player's card for there and played in $10 on single bubble. And there went my $10 right back out. And as I walked by the table again, after the gentleman had left, I went on myself and I had the table all to myself. So that was kind of nice, and played the don't on myself. So I'm usually a short roller. I don't have the greatest toss. I haven't really worked on polishing it. I've been focused more on learning the game myself and the bets and everything. So went 4 or 5 hands by myself and in for another 20, and this time out for 50 after a $2 tip to the dealer. So at that point, I thought I was at break even. I was actually down like a couple bucks. But since I was close enough or thought I was even, I counted that as a break even for the grand and had gotten my money back. And since I wasn't there really to play, I was there more to look at the hotel. I went on ahead and headed to my next destination and walked out up at this point, $28 overall for the trip. After that, I walked over to the plaza, and on my way to the plaza, I went through the Cal and I watched, but I didn't play. The table was warm to hot, and it was a $15 table, so a little too hot to play the dark side. There were quite a few gentlemen there from, you could tell they were from Hawaii, and having talked to one of the other folks that was on the table, he kind of gave me the history of the table since he'd been there, and he'd colored up quite nicely. So he walked, and I decided it was not the table to play if I was going to be playing the dark side. So went on over to the plaza, did not play there. They did not have a table open, but looked at the plaza, checked it out, kind of got to see what I had to see, and wandered on over to Circa. And I really liked Circa. I came in from Fremont, from the actual experience side of the hotel, and they did check my ID at the front door. That is a thing. So Circa is a 21 and up casino. So they really enforced that. And so on the table at Circa, which was a $15 table, I went in for $100. I finally decided, okay, I'm here to play. Let's play. I bought in for bigger than I had so far that trip, and went in for 100 and ended up out 150 after $3 to the dealers. Again, I played the don't with 6 or 8 to 6 and 8. I never made it to both. The table was so choppy and cold that I couldn't get the 6 and 8 both put up on the winnings and get it any further than that. So it was just terribly, terribly cold, which was great for me as a don't player, and playing for this particular time mostly as a don't player. And so I had a hard stop at 150. Once I got up to 150, and decided that I would at least walk away with 150. And I had it all the way up to 190 at one point. That would have been cool to have doubled my money up to 200. But again, I'm a low roller, so 200 would be great for me on a $100 buy-in. But I couldn't quite break that. I couldn't get the breakout and get to 200. And so sure enough, once I hit back down to 150 again, I cashed out and walked. I had the most fun playing there. I felt very relaxed and comfortable. Like I said, the table was pretty choppy. There were a couple of decent rollers. No one got over 15 rolls. I managed to place the 6 or the 8 a few times using house money, would win once or twice, and got knocked off once or twice, and pulled down just in time once or twice. I kind of had a count going, a 5 count going with some chips. And so when I got up to 5, unless I had seen the shooter shoot before and they were setting, and there were only 1 or 2 of those, then I would pull down after 5. And sure enough, they were setting out left and right. So left there up 78 overall for the trip. And that was that for that evening. So I didn't play at all Thursday or Friday. My family came in, and we did family things, and I was pretty tired at that point from having walked the convention floor that I was there for. And I think on Tuesday, I walked about 15 miles in all, if that gives you any indicator of how much walking was involved in what I was there for business. And so Saturday night, I did get to go play again before we headed out on Sunday. I went to Planet Hollywood, which had been another spot on my list. I really enjoyed Planet Hollywood Stadium Craps when I was there last summer. And so I went over to specifically play that table, and I could not get on it. It was packed out. It was packed for the, I think, 12 seats around the table. And then it was also packed on the other seats behind it for the more stadium other options, of which that same table is one of those. You don't get to shoot if you're sitting in one of those seats. Only the seats surrounding the table get to shoot, but you can still play on those. And I couldn't even get on those. It was so packed and popular on a Saturday night. So normally I don't play $25 tables. I don't like to risk that much money, but that being the only thing available, and that being my last night there, I went in and bought in for a whopping $40 on the $25 table and just played the don't. I stood there for about 15 minutes while the table made a full circuit, and I sort of got a gauge for who was a decent shooter and who wasn't, and played from there. And so after I had a hard stop at 2 a.m. because we had to get up and make our flights the next morning, and I didn't want to be too rough of a day the next morning. So I played just over an hour and ended up breaking even. So at one point, I had that $40 up to 115. I know I should have walked, but I got it was my turn was coming up next, and I wanted to go ahead and throw. So of course, I threw a come out 7 and then an 11, and we called it good from there. So I didn't pass the dice, but of course I PSO'd right after that. So got some of my money back, playing the donut myself, of course. And the next shooter I think at that point I was up, and I said, okay, if this guy sevens out or hits a 7 or 11 on the come out, then I'm going to walk. And sure enough, that's what he did. And so I walked out break even at $40, which is what I had bought in for. So overall for the whole trip, I was up 78. And for me, that's good. I'm a low roller. I only brought $1,000 to play with for an entire week. I had intended to play a little more than I did, but with work and my family coming in midway through and everything else, I didn't get to play as much as I would have liked to. And so I don't think I ever went out with more than 300. The rest of the money stayed in the safe the whole time, practicing some good bankroll management. And so I was never down more than 50 for the whole trip. And like I said, walked up with 78, probably a little more than that because, I had thrown some tips to the dealers, and then I'd also collected chips in every casino that I went into. And whether I played or not, if I hadn't been in that casino before, I went over and grabbed just a $1 chip from a poker table, blackjack table where no one was playing. And as a nice souvenir, I do that just to keep track of all the casinos I've been in and help me remember which ones I actually played in and so on. So interesting story from that last one at Planet Hollywood there. While I was there about 3/4 away, maybe halfway through my time on the table there, a guy came up and bought in for $5K, and it took a good 10 minutes or so for the dealer to actually count him in and give him his chips. He only got purples, blacks, and greens, and a lot more blacks, mostly black. And he was playing the $100 on the pass line with single or double odds and 440 inside, and then going to 660 across. He was also playing a $50 field and $25 hardways on every roll. He bled that 5K down to a 2K in just about 15 minutes. That's how terrible the table was. When it was his turn to shoot, his wife came over and she shot for him, and of course she PSO'd. So he had around $700 on the table at the time he PSO'd, or she PSO'd for him. And I think she had a couple of slot tickets in her hand. Hopefully those were pretty good. But it didn't seem to bother him too much. And his next turn around the table, he rolled, and he only went with 5 rolls, no box hits, same deal, same amount of money or more on the table. And he didn't hit the point either, just set a point, and then it ended up 7ing out after about 5 rolls. So he walked with like 3 purples and 5 blacks left, and it was pretty devastating to watch somebody lose, basically half or more of a $5,000 buy-in in 15 minutes or so. And made me very grateful that I am not that type of player. I'm more of a low roller. I play conservatively and safe, and the more and more I play this game, the more and more I learn the dark side is the way to go. And so if you can get some money on the dark side, then you can flip to the light side or do some hybrid and maybe work your way up from there. So I'm happy with that. It was a good trip overall. I had a lot of fun. I did not lose, and so that's always a good thing. So thanks for watching this far if you have, and hope to have some more content coming out soon as I get through other things and get caught up on other things. I'm having a few trips under my belt here recently. Hope to get back to making some good content for everybody. And we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks for watching Great Craps.